Okay. All right. Hope that's okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Good.
Great.
Not too close.
Not too close? Fine. Okay. First of all, I want to thank James Marriott for pointing out, again, underlining the point that a successful democracy can't survive without, thank you, without a shared sense of reality. And he's right, of course. But I also want to talk about how reality faces many challenges these days. And that isn't just because of tinfoil hat conspiracists on Telegram. It's been quietly throttled by the very people paid to protect it. And that's within newsrooms. Now, we've got this problem of swinging cuts to newsroom budgets. News gathering itself has been affected by this. And in its place has mushroomed a dependency on institutions, NGOs, and clever-sounding tech that promises efficiency, but in reality delivers a bland conformity. Also, rolling news has made it worse with this endless carousel of talking heads, seemingly adding to the deluge of voices and the overload of information to which Michael has referred to. Now, having had the privilege of starting out my TV career in the US networks and seeing the world through that prism, it was refreshing, but the default setting was naturally the most powerful nation on earth, the United States. If it doesn't involve America, it doesn't exist. Now, I want to steer to one particular episode that I think was absolutely seismic and really drew a line under public trust in media. I believe that our current problem with lack of trust in institutions can be traced, in my view, to the 2003 invasion of Iraq. The truth became a casualty of that war before it even began. The invasion was treated as a foregone conclusion, a sort of patriotic inevitability on both sides of the Atlantic. The press appeared to play along, and there seemed to be a sort of impartial or letting go of impartiality traded for access when military embeds were touted as the only way of being guaranteed a piece of the action. They have their place, of course, but the problem is that the dependence upon that has made it very difficult to maintain objectivity and see different perspectives, which was very much needed in that conflict, as with all conflicts. Elsewhere, there were alternative outlets that popped up to challenge Western views. A noble enough pursuit, but moral righteousness soon becomes its own narcotic, in my view. Truth is never so fragile as when a journalist believes, in all seriousness, that they're on the right side of history. Remind you of anyone? When weapons of mass destruction, when the fantasy imploded, so did any illusion that we were independent from the powers that be. That conflict forged a brave new world of the post-truth era. If you remember the Mirror's front page showing a faked-up photo of an Iraqi prisoner purportedly being abused, and that's what got Piers Morgan sacked. There were forged documents. There were imaginary consignments of yellow cake in Niger. There were also weapons of mass destruction that would only take 45 minutes to chemically eviscerate us all. And there was a whole generation that was then formed that decided to never trust a government briefing again. Now, luckily, for those behind those briefings, the podcast world provides a handsome salary and an opportunity to launder reputations. Alistair Campbell. So what better to face the post-truth world than artificial intelligence? It can summarize, translate, fabricate authority at a terrifying speed, and used well, it is a brilliant tool. But used badly, it is an enabler of the worst kind of poltroonism that is seen in the newsrooms, run by managers who worship efficiency. The instinct to doubt the journalist's real skill is being replaced by a faith in the machine. Now, the old gatekeepers also haven't gone away. Nepotism still decides who gets in, who gets ahead, who's invited to the right sort of dinners. Newsrooms that boast of diversity are somehow filled with great minds that think alike. The result? Blind spots everywhere. Disinformation units are busily chasing meme accounts, while genuine scandals, say the Tavistock, are sliding quietly off the desks. Now, nowhere is this cowardice more obvious than the coverage of immigration. On the front lines of this continent's migration crisis, Southern Europe, the Balkans, North Africa, Turkey, where trafficking networks operate with impunity. But the well-thinking bien-pensants back home, who boast of eclectic dining choices on their high street and their Eastern European cleaners, will find an incomplete picture of what is behind open borders policies, because there is little challenge of that in liberal media. In Turkey or the Middle East, immigration is treated quite bluntly. In Europe, moral discomfort mutes debate, leading to a widening in the gap in trust. Now, what is called compassionate is swiftly accomplished by refusal to discuss it further. And when the stories people live don't match the stories we tell, they stop believing us as journalists. Take the Bell Hotel in Epping, where residents protesting asylum housing were instantly dismissed as misinformed bigots. True, there were some people who were taking advantage of a fraught situation, but many weren't. And the contempt from the press of that moral superiority was an embarrassment for our profession. Part of this is financial, strapped for cash and plagued by rolling news deadlines. But in my view, the answer isn't another layer of editorial bureaucracy or yet more AI fact-checking. Hannah Arendt warned that when everyone lies, the danger isn't belief in the lie, but the disbelief in everything. And we already may be halfway there.